There, it's Roseann, and welcome to another video on how we can improve your hip mobility using some therapeutic techniques and yoga props. So welcome everybody. For this practice or this series, you'll need a yoga bolster and or a yoga block. If you don't have the bolster, you can use some blankets. If this is something that is new for you and you don't quite have the flexibility in your back, check out the other videos that I've recently made on how to improve the lumbar extension and flexion in your back. It's going to be really helpful. Otherwise, maybe start with something that's not as tall. You can see the difference. The yoga block is smaller. You might want to put a towel or blanket over it just to give it some padding. It's not quite as forgiving as the bolster, but I do want you to have something that you can. We're going to start with our feet on the bolster, and then we can move to the block if necessary, and I'll tell you about that later. So you can set this block aside for now. You don't need it. And we're going to start laying on our back. A couple tips before we start the practice. Because we're going to be laying down, you'll turn your head occasionally to watch me, but I don't want you to keep your head turned unless I tell you to turn it, okay? We want to keep the cervical spine lengthened up, especially when we start bringing our legs up and we start doing some twisting or legs overhead. So just know that turning your head, make sure that your chin's tucked, your neck is long. I don't want anything underneath your head because we're going to have the hips lifted. So I'll say that a couple times, but I just want to call that to your attention. It's really important, especially if you're dealing with any issues, and many of us are degenerative disc disease. I have that as well. So just be kind to your neck. But this is a great practice to lengthen these muscles, especially if you're a chin popper. Okay, so let's begin. Breathing is key in all of our moves, and take your time. If you have any sharp shooting pain, numbing, or tingling, you know to back it up. So you can start with your legs over the bolster, okay? And then once you do that, you'll scoop down carefully, roll down, and then we'll just go ahead and bring our feet as wide as the bolster. And your shoulders are flat. So check in with your shoulders to make that sure that's true. Let me just tie my hair so it doesn't get in the way here. And basically what you want to do is make sure that your gaze is not up to the ceiling, but over your knees. That's important. Feet wide and knees come together. Your internal rotation. Hands can be at your side, torso, or wide. I'm not on the floor, so it's hard to feel like I'm pressing down on something, but I want you to think that you're anchoring your fingernails, your knuckles, your wrists down, and get your shoulders flat. Okay, so we're going to start with some little bit of internal external rotation. You'll exhale and take your knees to one side and look the opposite direction. The hip lifts. Breathe in, belly to spine, eyes to the sky, knees touch, and then knees to the opposite side and turn your head. Again, arms can be down your side. You can rest your hands on your ribs if you'd like, if that feels more comfortable. But I want you to do something that feels good for you, so you can feel a little bit of hip rotation and internal rotation, external rotation in your thighs. Use an exhale to come to center and then back to the other side. Now, the third time, we're going to add on to this. So you bring the knees to touch on an exhale, pause, inhale, exhale, bring the knees to your right and look to your left. Now, you certainly can keep your knees just like they are, or pick up your bottom foot and place it on the side of the knee. This is going to give you a lot more stretch into the hip and a lot more length. Hang out here for as long as you want, and you can even add on, this is my left leg, my left arm comes up, anchor the shoulder and reach back. And just let the hand and arm be anchored well onto the floor. So you're getting a lot of space in the intercostals, you're getting the space between the rib and the hip bone, and you're getting that stretch from your knee all the way up armpit, 2 fingers. One more breath in, longer breath out. Slide the foot off. Carefully, using your abdominals with the top back knee lift, top knee, hips are level. Wiggle a little bit left and right to settle the bones before we take the knees to the other side. Now hang out here for as long as you like. You can add on, if this option doesn't feel good for you, to bring your heel onto the thigh, here's your other option. Start sliding the top foot back and slide the bottom foot. And this actually feels better for me on this side. So I'm not going to take my leg over. I just know what my body wants and doesn't want. So I'm looking for internal rotation, external, and I'm looking for space. If my right knee is on top, my right arm is going to reach up. I'm going to turn my head and reach back with my right arm. And I'm opening that whole right side of the body. Left shoulder down, chin tucked in, and breathe. As always, stay as long as you want, but when you're ready to come out, your hand comes back, you pick up the bottom knee and then the top knee and come back to center. Separate your feet, wiggle side to side, and now we've just got a nice little internal, external rotation and some release of the hips. Let's add on. The left leg goes over the bolster, but you're not going to just let it rest. We're going to push down on the left thigh and hug the right knee in. Give it a nice big squeeze. You can hold on to the thigh and stretch the leg up. Flex the foot. Do that a few times. If you're tight in the hamstrings, and many of us are, there'll be a slight bending. That's okay. I just want to try to stretch the hamstring. Release your hands and check your hips if they haven't shifted. And let's internally, externally rotate that thigh bone a little bit more. That should feel really good. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and hug the knee in, take it out to the right, keep pushing the left thigh bone down, hand on your hip. So you haven't lifted your hip, you want your hips out or anchored well, but that right heel is going to kick up, kind of like you're kicking a soccer ball. My right hand is a kickstand for the thigh, and that's just giving me a nice little stretch from right knee to left hip. And then we'll go ahead and we'll change that left hand on right knee. My right hand's going to be my anchor to reach out. And I'll do this 5 times. First time I'm going to rotate just a little bit. Right hip comes up and then bring it back down. Take another exhale, rotate. And bring it back down. Or to center. Here's the third one. The hip's going to turn a little bit more. Back down. By the 4th time, you should feel lots of rotation in your waist. You see I'm resting my foot on my thigh. That's fine to do. And back. Now, the last time you take that rotation, look to your right thumb. By now, your hips are stacked, and your left hand's going to be a kickstand for your thighs so you can kick your leg out. Give it a big push out. Here, you can turn your thigh bone, get a little bit more movement in the hip socket if you want. Knee up, knee down. But just make sure it feels good for you, and check in with your neck that you're not popping your chin. You'll bend the knee to come back in and come back to center. Once you're in center, let's just go ahead and stretch that leg up. Oh, that should feel really good. Square your hips up. And relax for a second. Just notice the difference from left to right. A lot more energy in that right leg compared to the heaviness of the left leg. So let's get the left legs now to enjoy these benefits. The right leg super straight. You're hugging the left knee in and flex that right foot. Really lengthen out. Should be easy to lengthen out. Little sweet little hug of the left knee to your chest. And then we're going to take the knee, hold on to the thigh, and kick the leg up to the sky. You can do this a couple times. I'm trying to press my thigh bone into the floor, into the mat. And once you've got it up there, hold it up there, nice and straight, and then just turn that thigh bone, wiggle it left and right, left and right. Great. Bend the knee back in, and now my right hand's on my right hip, my left knee is taking the knee out to the side, and we're going to give a little kick of the heel up. So we've got some extra rotation in the left hip. Breathe into this. And release. Your right hand grabs the left knee. Your left hand can either stay on your hip to keep space or out to the side. Turn your head to the left and feel that hip rotation. Come back to center, nose to the sky, knee to the sky. And then here's your second rotation. Shoulder anchored, chin tucked in. Come back to center, the breath comes in and exhale. This is 3, so you got a little bit more rotation. Back to center. And exhale, press down on the thigh on the bolster. It's turning 2, 4. You're opening the chest. Back to center. Now the 5th one, you're gonna stay there. So your hips are almost stacked. Your right hand becomes the kickstand for the thigh. As you push out, you get a nice big extension from the hip joint through the knee to the heel, and feel that twist of the hips. Get lots of leg, create that space. Try not to hike your hips, push your hip bone away. And bend that knee back in, come on back. Put your foot on the bolster just to adjust your hip and square your legs. So let's relax the legs for a second, just shake things out. Reach overhead, do a nice little stretch here. Then we're gonna electrify the body. So reach, arms stretching out, flex your feet and push the heels. Get every muscle in your body to contract. Chin to the chest, toes to the sky, thigh bones pressing the bolster. And you'll bring your arms up over the chest and roll down through your upper, middle, lower back until the hands rest by the hips. You'll bend the knees and then hug them to the chest, rolling side to side. Just give a nice little back massage. So we're going to go a little further into this practice. That might be all you want for today, just to get a little bit of rotation. But if you want to go a little deeper, carry on with me, okay? So you're going to roll to your side. Carefully come on up. Take your time. You've been laying there for a while. Nice and slow. You realign yourself, kind of get yourself together here. Like I said, that could be enough for the day if you're getting ready to go for golf. But otherwise, what we're going to do is change things up a little bit. So you can sit on your bolster, or actually, I'm going to show the way I'm going to show you the way I think it's safer to get onto the bolster or the block. This is where the block comes in. If you think this bolster is too high, remember there's about 2 or 3 inches difference. You can use a block. You'll use the block lengthwise, but I'm going to use the bolster. So I'm going to lay back down, okay? I'm going to kind of scooch the bolster toward my butt, and I'm going to lift my hips, and I'm going to roll, push the bolster underneath my hips. Now, make sure that you really are on there, your pelvis on the bolster. You can hold on to the sides of the bolster. And check it out. Bring one knee up and then the other. You should feel very well anchored on the bolster here. So you'll hold the bolster, the knees are tabletop, and we can make little circles with both knees. Belly, left hip, tail, right hip, belly. Just to do some pelvic clocks in one direction. And then the other direction. And then we'll bring the left leg down and we'll cross the right leg. We're in our figure 4 here. This is going to be a deeper stretch of the hips, and we'll add some rotation. So this is just a second level to what you just did. You're going to bring your legs up, and there's your piriformis stretch. It's a pretty significant stretch. Hold on to your bolster and rock to your left, and come and rock to your right. To the left, and to the right, to the left, and to the right. Now, if this seems like a lot for you, keep your foot down and just rock this way. Now our hips are lifted and we're rotating. Before the hips were down and the feet were lifted. It's different. You're going to feel quite a different stretch here. So you have the options of foot down or foot lifted. You decide what works for you today. And then come back. Uncross, and we'll do the other side. Cross, ankle over thigh, breathe in and lift. Your foot is always higher than your knee, and you can just rock a little side to side, hold on to that bolster, or let your hands rest on the bolster. I just want to make sure the bolster stays still, and it shouldn't move much, but you're gonna rock. Check it out so you can go a little bit further on one hip, then the other hip. Use your breath. Exhale, inhale. Okay, if you're a golfer, this is awesome to learn how to kind of segment your hip rotation from your shoulders and feel the muscles working for rotation. Now, if you like that, stay there. If it's too much for you, bring your foot down and drop over to your right. Feel that stretch in the piriformis and hip. And do the same thing, bring the knee to the left. I want you to play. This is your time to play around. What do you need more of today? Do you need more of that stretch, space? Take advantage of it. Foot can be up. Remember, it's your practice here. I mentioned earlier about your neck. Now I'm turning my head to look at the screen. I want you to keep your head as if once your hips are higher than your heart, I'd like the neck to stay as long as possible on that. So be careful when you're turning your head, just for a little bit to see what I'm saying, and then come back to neutral. We're going to cross both legs. Now here's our stretch. Right leg, push it out, reach the right arm overhead. Feel that whole long line from pinky finger to pinky toe. You can keep that leg out there and then invite the right leg out, and I'm sorry, the left leg and the left arm, and stretch there. If it only feels best to do one leg at a time, your practice, honor your body and what feels safe and effective for you. Opening up through the hip flexors, you're anchoring your heels, your butt muscles are active to open up these areas. Bring hands back first, bring knees back, and then we're gonna get a nice little flexion move. So hold on to your bolster or to your prop. If you have a yoga block, you're gonna have your hands flat on the ground, chin to the chest, eyes gaze over the chest, one knee to the other, and then let your knees come toward your chest. Feet are higher than the knees, and this is a beautiful supporting flexion pose. Easy does it. It's a lot of abs here to bring you over. If it feels good here, stay. If it feels safe for you to take your legs over, there's your hamstring stretch. You can give a gentle tug. Don't lose your prop. You're going to need it, so make sure it's close. You can take your legs all the way over, but my shoulder blades and my middle back are still on the ground. I'm getting a great stretch in my lower back. Bend your knees to come back. Take one foot down at a time. So come to tabletop, one foot down, and the other. Walk your feet close, and we're going to come into bridge. So eyes over your chest. Lift your hips high, and you're going to have to wiggle that bolster out from your belly, from your butt. Wiggle, wiggle, and then pretty close to your feet here, and just rest for a second. Once your spine neutralizes, legs come over your bolster, hands at your side, and then sway your head side to side for a moment. And then love for you just to stay here for at least a minute, maybe up to 5 minutes. Allowing your spine to neutralize, allowing the space that you've created between the vertebrae to rehydrate. There's discs between each vertebra, so we've created space. Now let everything enjoy that. Let's get some hydration in the discs. Breathe in and breathe out. Again, for as long as you want to stay here, you're welcome to stay. But if you are ready to come up with me, put one foot on the bolster, then the other. You can shimmy that bolster away from you so you can plant your feet on the mats. Pick up your hips, shift them to one side, and come into the fetal pose. Bottom hand is a pillow for your head. And you're just going to rest here for a second. We want to just rebalance the blood pressure in our head. And then slowly you'll make your way up. Look down at the floor for a moment. I don't want you to get lightheaded. And then when you feel that you're balanced out, you can bring yourself all the way up. So I hope that was a helpful practice for you for some hip mobility to open up the hip flexors, open up the piriformis. A lot of people deal with sciatic and other issues in their tissues. So I wanted to share this practice with you. Please feel free to share it with all your friends and loved ones. If you have any questions, concerns, please text me or email me at Roseann@LIVFITT, LIVFITT.com. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Be sure to hydrate, stay safe and healthy. Bye for now.